Okay, everyone, we are now graduating to chapter 8. We're on page 157, and we have some fun new things in this unit: compound meter, 12-bar blues, and legato pedal. So we're going to start with compound meter. You can see the chart on 157 that tells you how many, what the value of the different note values are. So if you notice, eighth notes, which used to be half a beat, are now a full beat. Quarter notes used to be 1 beat, they're now 2 beats, and so on and so forth. Dotted quarters are 3 beats, and a dotted half note, which was 3, is now 6. So the main thing to remember is that everything is double. All the values are doubled. Anything you see is going to be worth exactly twice as much as it used to be. That doesn't mean it's going to last longer necessarily, because that depends on the tempo of your piece. So let's not confuse tempo and rhythm and meter. They're 3 separate topics. You also see in the last column the rest. So you can add a rest to, a dot to a rest, like the dotted quarter rest and the dotted half rest. So let's turn the page and look at page 158, and we're going to just tap some rhythms in 6/8. Let's do this first, then we'll talk a little bit about why 6/8, why does this exist. All right, so the top number is 6 and the bottom is eighth note. So there are 6 eighth note pulses in every measure now in this meter. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see if you're in 6/8, the dotted half note is the largest value. You won't see whole notes in 6/8 because that's too many beats for the bar. You only need a dotted half to fill the entire bar. Now the other thing to notice about 6/8 is there is a kind of a secondary accent on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ya da da da, yum, bum, ba. So there's a little what we call secondary accent on beat 4. Or if we think of these as just triplets, we could also count this into this way. We would go 1 la 2 la 1 la 2 1 2 1 2, and that gives us a very good indication of the real feel of 6/8. So why do we have compound meter? Why not just write these as 6 quarter notes and say to play fast? Well, the reason is that we want to notate these triplets because they give the feeling of what compound meter truly is. So if you were a composer and you're writing a piece that had an occasional triplet in it, you would still write that in simple meter, but you would, that one triplet in there, you would put the little italic 3 over it. But if your piece is constantly has that feeling of a skipping triplety feel to it, then you're in compound meters. So the composer then would probably say, okay, there's so many triplets in my piece, I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it compound meter and make the eighth note the small pulse. But the true unit of beat in compound meter is really the dotted quarter, because the dotted quarter is one triplet value. So when they're giving a tempo marking in 6/8, for example, it'll say dotted quarter equals 60, dotted quarter equals 80, and that gives you the yup-up-a, for every tick on the metronome. Let's try number 2, which has the dotted quarter rests in it. 1 la 2 la 1 la 2 la 1 la 2 la 1 la 2 la 1 2. So there we had in the third measure a quarter note and an eighth. 2 la bum bum bum. So you can have long short, which is still part of the triplet feel, but it's in compound meter. Okay, and then the third one has sort of an odd little eighth note rest, so 1, 2 off, 3, 4, 5 off. So notice you can count these up to 6 or you can count them in 2. Generally, once you're comfortable with the piece and can play it in tempo, you want to count it in 2. 2 triplets in 6/8. If you're in 9/8, there would be 3 triplets, and 12/8 would be 4 triplets. Those are the most common compound meters. Number 3, let's try it. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. That had a lot of rests. If we were to go back and count it in 2, it would sound like this. Ready, and 1 la la, 2 la la, 1 la la, 2, 1 la la, 2 la la, 1, 2. Okay, so I suggest when you're first learning a piece in compound meter, clap the rhythm in 6, if it's in 6/8, and then go back and feel it and clap it in 2.